Hey everyone, it's Tim Holtz and I'm here at Sizzix headquarters. Now, I love working with different types of floral dies. In fact, with Sizzix, I've designed so many different ones, everything from the first tattered floral, the steel rule die, to all sorts of tiny tattered florals and garlands. But this one's a little funky because I've designed Funky Florals, and they are a series of 3 so far of different types of flowers and leaves that are designed to create these kind of funky shapes, but also have the ability to layer. And there's a lot of different ways that we can use these dies. What you'll see when it comes to working with these Funky Florals is that every one of the dies, whether it's the flower or the leaf, have additional details that you can layer on top, and it gives it a lot of great dimension, a lot of great accent when you're creating a collage. Now, if you're using colored cardstock, you can see that you would have to run this die through several times to get all the different colors of cardstock. It's worth the effort though, because take a look at how great that project is with all the colors, all the layers. Love that. Another cool way that we can use this, of course, is with mixed media. We can take all of these different shapes, cut these out, use some gel medium to actually put it to a surface, whether it's a canvas or a piece of wood or a box or anything, and then go over with your favorite art mediums, your crayons, your paints, your inks, and make that part of the background and add some great texture and some great detail. But did you know there's also a way that we can use this and make it very, very fast? If you don't have a lot of time to run the die through, cut all the layers of cardstock, we can create a very simple but very colorful effect using these Funky Florals by simply cutting them out of watercolor cardstock. And that's what this card is, and that's what I'm going to share with you. So you can see here we've gone in and already cut out some shapes just using watercolor cardstock. Now, I prefer watercolor cardstock because it does take watercolor the best, but play around with different papers that you might have. The nice thing, of course, about these dies, even though they're Thinlits, they have the ability to cut through very heavyweight cardstock. This is 140-pound watercolor paper, and you can see even these tiny little shapes, we have great detail with it. Now, I would recommend if you are cutting this heavyweight cardstock, you go ahead and use a precision base plate for this, because that's going to allow these dies to cut a little bit easier through that thicker material. If you don't, you may have to give this a couple of passes through your machine, whether you're using the Sidekick, Vagabond, or Big Shot. So to color this, I'm just going to work with inks. Now you can work with inks, markers, whatever you want, and I am working on the tonic media mat. Just going to take some distress ink and just place it down on my palette. The nice thing about this mat, it gives us the ability to use it as a crafting or watercolor palette. I'm going to then go in just using a water brush. Now you can use a water brush or any type of paintbrush with water, but this already has a chamber that is filled with water that just self-dispenses. So I'm just going to wipe that onto the mat just to make sure the water is flowing. I'm going to go in and just pick up some color. You can see how easy that is. That just kind of re-wets the ink. I can also mix different colors, so I can pick up a little darker red, go down here to the palette and kind of mix up colors, so you can play around with whatever you want. Then I'm just going to go in and just start coloring. I like to work from the outer edge because that's where most of the color is going to be applied, and then I'll just slowly work my way in. It's really quick, especially working on something that is non-porous like the mat, because it's going to allow you to kind of color outside the line, so to speak. I'm going to go in and pick up another color, work that right down here just to kind of blend it out. If you need more water, you can simply squeeze that brush, and we're just going to go in and add some color. It's that easy, really. And you can play around with all types of different craft mediums that you have, your favorite ink pads, markers, crayons, anything like that. Take a look at that. Really, really simple, a great way to do it. We want to go in and color some of the leaves, pick up some color here. And I like to just start by just adding some color. Don't overthink the ink, all right? Just have fun with this. Go in, pick up another color, add some of that shading in there. See how it just makes it look like you know what you're doing. That's what I like. And sometimes, if you really are just going to cut out, say, a bunch of leaves, you may just start with a piece of watercolor cardstock, color the entire thing in your favorite shades of green, and then do your cutting, and then kind of you get what you get, which is really a fun way to actually work with your different mediums. Look at that. And sometimes I'll even leave a little bit of that white space. I think it gives a little depth, especially when you're adding it to a card. And that is how easy it is to watercolor using your Funky Florals.